Yanyue Zong Great Elder looked drained after releasing that strike. Her blood sword returned to her hand, yet the falling sword key refused to weaken. That murderous key locked Han Li's body like iron shackles, sealing muscles and meridians. Welcome back, friends, to 3D Cartoon Review, where one breath can split life from death, and one treasure can turn love into a battlefield overnight. Before we jump in, imagine the pressure of cultivation. One mistake and centuries of effort vanish like dust under a single sword stroke. Last episode ended with the Xuemo Jian falling like a guillotine, and Han Li frozen in place, watching crimson sword chi descend as if heaven itself had chosen him. Above his head, space quivered violently, and a gigantic demonic sword key surfaced, thick with evil aura, swallowing lamplight and squeezing the air into silence. The Yanyue Zong Great Elder looked drained after releasing that strike. Her blood sword returned to her hand, yet the falling sword key refused to weaken. That murderous key locked Han Li's body like iron shackles, sealing muscles and meridians, so even his eyelids felt heavy, as if time itself denied him motion. Han Li felt the hall's restrictions humming beneath his feet, yet even that grand formation seemed small compared to the demonic intent pressing down from above. Nangongwan's face turned pale, and her fingers trembled around her treasure, because she understood this was not a wound. This was an execution. Han Li's mind stayed razor calm, but deep inside he admitted something rare. This was one of the closest calls he'd ever faced, even with preparation. In that heartbeat, Han Li's eyes narrowed, and he triggered Yixie Shenlei, refusing to die quietly just because an evil blade claimed authority. He did not shout or beg the heavens. He simply calculated, because survival for him was never luck. It was preparation meeting the exact second of crisis. A thunderclap exploded inside the hall, bright enough to sting the eyes, and a golden lightning net unfolded around him like a divine cage. The blood-red sword key slammed into the net, shrieking as if it were alive. But the net held firm, its golden arcs knitting tighter with every impact. The clash sounded like metal tearing in a storm, and the golden web trembled, but it did not break, as though righteous thunder had decided to stand its ground. For the first time, the Great Elder's composure cracked, because her certain kill strike was now trapped, thrashing uselessly inside Han Li's thunderweb. Han Li did not give her even half a breath to adjust. He drove two golden lightning streaks through the net, aiming straight at the sword key's core. He knew experts recover faster than ordinary cultivators. If he paused to celebrate, the Great Elder would twist the situation and turn the hall into his coffin. The lightning pierced cleanly, and the enormous sword key shattered into drifting blood mist, collapsing from a mountain into smoke, scattered across the hall. Han Li swept his sleeve and condensed that remaining blood aura into a tight golden sphere, gripping it like captured poison before it could seep away. The golden sphere pulsed faintly, hot and sinister, and Han Li kept it sealed, because even residue from the Xuemo Jian could poison a weaker soul. If you were watching from the shadows, you'd think the world had flipped. Han Li had just turned death into loot, and fear into a tool. Nangongwan exhaled shakily, relief flooding her eyes, yet she did not relax, because a cornered nascent soul cultivator bites hardest when hope is stolen. Han Li lifted his hand again, and the Pijin Chong responded, roaring forward as a golden storm, their wings humming like blades sharpening in the dark. The insects came like a living tide, their bodies reflecting light in flickers, and their hunger felt almost intelligent, as if they understood who threatened their master. The Great Elder's expression changed sharply. She spat out a small silver sword, and her hands formed seals with practiced speed and cold precision. With a harsh shout, "Hua Jian Wei Si," the tiny sword trembled, then burst into countless silver threads, thin as hair yet sharp as judgment. Those threads ripped into the insect cloud, and sparks exploded everywhere, as if silver rain were striking gold sand, filling the hall with glittering violence. Silver threads danced with terrifying elegance, cutting lines through the swarm, and for an instant, the hall looked like it was filled with spinning starlight. For a moment, Han Li's heart tightened, because the threads were terrifyingly efficient, slicing insects apart like wheat under a sickle's sweep. But then the second wave rose. Insects hidden below surged upward, a hungry tide, forcing the silver threads to split, weaken, and scatter. The floor answered like a drum, and the second swarm surged upward, surrounding the Great Elder's sword threads and forcing her defense into a cramped, exhausting spiral. Now the Great Elder was attacked from above and below. Her sword threads stretched thin, her breathing turning ragged as pressure tightened around her. She understood instantly. Fighting longer meant being dragged down and sealed, so she chose survival, even if it meant fleeing in humiliation. Her body flashed into rainbow light and shot upward, aiming to smash through the roof and reach the sect's grand formation outside the hall. She aimed for the roof because one step outside could change everything. With the sect's grand array, even Han Li would be forced into a desperate retreat. When the Great Elder tried to break the roof, the entire hall groaned, dust raining down like ash, and the formation lines beneath their feet flared briefly. Nanggong Wan reacted first, firing a deep red beam after her, but it struck stone and dust, because the Great Elder's escape was already shifting angles. The Great Elder used a talisman, a yellow glow wrapped her body, pushing through the insect barrier like a spear through cloth, carving a path to freedom. Nanggong Wan's gaze turned fierce. She tossed a small pink banner into the earth, awakening a hidden restriction that had slept beneath the floor. A pink curtain erupted and spread across the hall, tugging at the yellow glow like a giant hand grabbing a fleeing throat from behind. The pink light looked gentle, yet its pull was brutal, dragging at flesh and spirit together, like invisible hooks sinking into the Great Elder's aura. The Great Elder's body jerked, nearly yanked down, and for a blink, it looked like the trap would close completely and end the chase. But she was the Yanyue Zong's pillar. Her finger flicked, releasing blinding sword radiance that tore the pink restriction apart in a spray of light. She surged upward again, almost breaking the roof, almost reaching the air beyond, where one shout could summon the entire sect to her rescue. Then, with cruel timing, a purple radiance appeared above her like fate snapping shut, and a massive purple net dropped in complete silence. Remember Yin Yue's earlier role. This is why Han Li brought her. A battle isn't won by strength alone, but by the final hand that closes the door. The net wrapped around her instantly and yanked her back, slamming her down into the hall, as if the heavens themselves rejected her escape. Yin Yue emerged with a soft laugh, gripping the net's cord, her eyes bright with mischief, as though she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Yin Yue's smile was playful, yet her hands never loosened. She tightened the cord by tiny degrees, the way a hunter finishes a struggle without wasting strength. The Great Elder struggled, firing black and white sword ki from her fingertips, then spewing strange green ghost flame to burn the net apart. In that moment, she finally understood. She wasn't losing to one person. She was losing to a coordinated hunt, designed for her exact instincts. Yet the purple net remained unharmed. Sword ki slid off. Ghost flame sputtered, and the threads tightened instead, swallowing her resistance like deep water. Yin Yue whispered a command, and the net shrank, binding joints, sealing meridians, and locking spiritual energy so tightly the Great Elder could barely breathe. Cornered at last, the Great Elder's face twisted with fury and disbelief, because she had been outplayed by formation, insects, and a spirit's patience. Han Li stepped closer, calm as winter, while Nanggong Wan raised her hand, her voice sharp. Don't kill her, leave her to me. You might wonder why mercy mattered here, but Nanggong Wan understood politics. Killing this woman would ignite chaos, and chaos invites outsiders like wolves. Keeping her alive turns this from a blood feud into a controlled secret, a wound that can be covered, rather than a fire that burns the whole mountain down. Nanggong Wan released Lumhui Shenguang, and red light spun like a wheel of lives turning, washing over the Great Elder's body in silent authority. The Great Elder trembled, her eyes rolling back, and she collapsed unconscious, not dead, yet stripped of power as if her soul had been locked in a box. More importantly, her nascent soul was sealed. It could not flee, could not scream for help, and could not slip away through some hidden escape art. Han Li snorted lightly, half annoyed, half relieved, and muttered that this senior sister had shown no mercy when she nearly cut him down. Nanggong Wan's gaze softened with guilt, because she knew that if Han Li's counter had been slower by one breath, her heart would be broken forever. Han Li waved it off with a forced grin, joking about thick skin and tough bones, but the chill in his spine reminded him how close death had come. With the battle finished, the hall's air shifted, killing intent faded, and the practical hunger of survivors rose, because in the cultivation world, victory has receipts. The hall smelled of scorched stone and metallic blood aura, and the quiet afterward felt unnatural, like the world was waiting to see who dared breathe first. Yin Yue relaxed her grip, still smiling, while Nangongwan searched the Great Elder's storage pouch and poured out treasures like spilling a dragon's hoard. Bottles, talismans, jade slips, rare materials. Everything glittered, yet Han Li's gaze locked onto a dull black ring that looked worthless at first glance. He took it carefully, then produced his own black ring, and his heart jolted. The two were identical, matching like twin shadows carved from the same mold. Two identical rings in two different hands is not coincidence. In stories like this, it's either a key, a lock, or a curse waiting to recognize its twin. Strangely, neither ring had any spiritual aura at all, as if they were dead metal, and that silence made Han Li more uneasy than any bright treasure. He stored both rings away for later, because mysteries in the immortal world rarely stay silent forever. They wait, then bite when you least expect. Nangongwan's attention returned to the greatest danger still present, and she placed her palm on the Great Elder's forehead. The Xuemo Jian emerged, radiating dense demonic qi, making the lamps flicker and the air feel heavier as if an unseen beast had opened its eyes. Han Li accepted it cautiously, keeping his spiritual sense wrapped tight, because demonic treasures often test their owners with temptation and whispers. Nangongwan shivered and immediately handed it to Han Li, refusing to keep that evil blade close, even for a moment longer than necessary. She spoke seriously. This demonic treasure is too dangerous to leave behind, and if the Great Elder wakes, it could become another near-death disaster. But she also noted that Han Li's Golden Thunder earlier could restrain the Xuemo Jian's power, which meant he had a rare advantage over its evil nature. Han Li accepted it with a careful smile, because in his world, you don't reject a weapon just because it's sharp. You learn how not to be cut. They then examined other famous treasures, including the Ningguang Jing, and both understood the same truth without speaking it aloud. True survival isn't just winning the fight, it's erasing the evidence, hiding your trail, and making sure the next pursuit never arrives. Keeping such famous items would paint a target on their backs. Anyone who saw them would know exactly who had been robbed and who must be hunted. So they returned those traceable treasures, not out of kindness, but out of survival, because the smartest thief knows what not to steal. Next, Nangongwan removed the Kunqing technique restriction from the command token, and the invisible chain around her freedom finally snapped. Nangongwan looked at the captured token and finally allowed herself a quiet smile, because freedom in the cultivation world is priceless, precisely because it's so fragile. She left a jade slip message for her senior sister advising how to handle outsiders, preserving the sect's stability without exposing what happened tonight. Then she restored the scene, smoothing everything back into place, as if the hall had never hosted thunder, insects, and a nascent soul capture. Finally, Nangongwan leaned into Han Li's chest, warm and quiet, her earlier calm replaced by human softness now that the storm had passed. Her silence said more than words. She had endured restraint and terror, and now she was choosing to trust Han Li with the pieces of her future. Han Li held her gently, and together they rose into the night, flying away as two figures against the dark sky, leaving sealed consequences behind. And that's episode 181. Death reversed, a great elder captured, a demonic sword seized, and a pair of silent black rings, hinting at deeper fate. Now tell me, friends, would you keep the Xuemo Jian as a life-saving trump card, or fear the day its evil nature turns and bites the hand that holds it? Drop your theory about the twin black rings in the comments, and subscribe for episode 182, because clues like this never stay silent for long.